understanding
One
that you
mic.
got to
Hold
earn
on.
your right to do
What do you
certain
mean
things.
we have to
Can I,
earn that right?
LeVar, can I
You
humble?
gotta earn the right to
One
ask
mic,
Wait,
questions.
hold
Lord.
y'all.
One mic.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all.
One
Let me
mic.
mediate the room. I'm gonna mediate the
Positive
room. Hold
forward.
on, Lito. Alicia got something she want to
Nah,
say.
yeah,
Alicia, go ahead.
Okay, so some of you know me in this room. LeVar, you met me when I was over at Alamo, but I started in this industry kind of like you. Like, I didn't go to school for this. I'm a college dropout. I completely stumbled into the industry. And I definitely agree that some people aren't trying to help. But I would say, like, the difference between me, because I'm like older than you guys, and I feel like a lot of the young generation is maybe it wasn't right that I felt like that. But when I finally got put in position, I was nervous to ask the wrong question because I knew the person that put me in position thought he peeped my initiative and knew that I would do what it takes to come with a educated question. So that caused me to get into this thing where I research everything and everyone before I move forward. I can't even watch TV shows or documentaries without sitting on Google the whole time. And as I got older and more respect, and like now I'm an executive for a tech company, I realized like sometimes people are disrespectful. Like social media has made people think that because they follow you, that they have access to you, like you're their homeboy. The same way I talk to my friends is not going to be the same way I talk to someone that I want knowledge from. And if I realize that someone in the room that's like reputable, bigger than me, a money person, like if I know that off top, but I don't know what they do or I know their name, I'm going to Google that to figure out what's my play with them. Because the thing is, like, I have questions, but if I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to ask a question that directly affects me and is going to be something that interests the person that I'm asking. I think that sometimes, like, we all have questions, but I feel like a lot of people don't do the due diligence to do the research to figure out the types of questions they should be asking that person. I have a friend that when she goes into rooms, she's an artist and she tries to go to like the biggest person, or she sees Diddy or she sees that person. I'm like, you don't even realize the people around this person are the ones that get you signed. You look at the artists on the cover of Billboard, but you guys don't pay attention to who's inside the labels that really affects change. And sometimes some of the people that are hiring you guys at the labels, and I realize this too, they don't have the power to bring you in. They're just utilizing you so they can keep their job.
Exactly.
And you know what,
So
Alicia?
it's like really like I feel like I've gained my power from being strong on the outside. Like I remember labels used to hate me. Then they hired me because they were forced to deal with me because my relationships just in the streets were just so strong. Like you
Exactly.
can't block me out. I became so strong at what I do because you wouldn't let me in. I formed a model around it. I built a business. I started creating decks and campaigns, started a company, got an office in the city across from Sirius Radio. Like that shit, I had years of being broke. I was living on people's couches for 2 years straight, the first years of my business. I remember I spent a whole summer and I couldn't afford food. But that's what it took. And I learned and I studied and I learned how to get ahead of the people that are stuck in their positions.
I want to
Can I
say
say
one
something
one
real
thing
quick,
about the
please? I
question.
think
Hold on.
that's the big thing with the difference between like the people like Alicia and LeVar and stuff like that. Like a lot of us, when it goes back to peer on peer, it's like a lot of our peers don't do the due diligence or have the vision to even recognize those elements before they step into the situation. And I think it is a sense of entitlement that a lot of young people do be having. That's is false. It's
I
like,
agree with that, CEO. But I
and
want to
it's
say
like
two things
I
about the
put my
question.
Wait, let him
that
finish, Puff.
Wait,
entitlement
let
is
him
the issue.
finish.
so it's like I could use myself for example because I've been in the industry for about 7 years, but I haven't considered myself like there yet. You feel me? Like I listen to learn, and I when I speak, I'm teaching. You get what I'm saying? Because it's my experiences that I only speak on, or whatever the case may be. And I go back to like the whole proof of concept thing and having a vision. Like it was ideas that I pitched, technology, AR, VR ideas and stuff like that that the old people wasn't up on yet, and they wasn't really supporting it. And I actually raised money, had my own money, and I put it behind it and came with a proof of concept that made the conversation more easier. And then I was the knowledgeable one in that aspect, and I was able to teach them on something which gave me leverage in the situation. So a lot of young people don't have leverage to conduct the conversations that they want to have when it comes to these
So can I
OGs and
ask y'all
stuff
a
like that.
question? And I
Wait,
want
hold on, Dick, because I want
I
to say
want to
No,
something
say
about the
about
something.
question thing.
leverage.
So
go ahead. You're not done.
going back to the question, right? So I'm at a conglomerate that the industry will call Rock Nation, right? Is a conglomerate, and my superiors always tells us, right, to ask a question is the most humblest thing a man can do for another man or ask another man, right? Because it's basically opening up yourself for two things: rejection and to learn, right? So when I hear statements like, oh, it's not the time or place, part of me agrees with it, but a part of me knows the reason why Rock Nation is ahead is because they had that open-ended policy where we are allowed to ask questions if you do not know, right? And I feel like the older generation, because like I said, I'm the middle generation. I'm stuck in between the Dick by ears and the Shawns, right? So I have to learn from both, and I have to be accessible to both, and I have to play by both generations' rules. So I feel like if the older generation shouldn't feel that we're being entitled if a person is really genuinely trying to learn. Don't feel we are being disrespectful because we do not know. You cannot expect them to know what they do not know. So, like they said, the question of, I believe Dick asked him what was the last record he broke. That's a valid question for someone trying to be a DJ. Don't disrespect that person's vulnerability.
Especially if I'm already in a room with you.
But
You feel
there's
what I'm
no
saying? It'll
learning
be
in that
different.
question.
Hold on. It'll be different. It'll be different, right? If I'm not in a room with that person and I need to find that information on my own. If I'm in a room, let's say like this, I'm putting an example. Lunchbox in here, Slim in here, London Hill in here, Halo in here, right? If I'm in a room with all four of them, right? And I want to know what was the last song Lunchbox had that was a hit. I'm gonna ask him, like, yo, what was the last song you had that broke out just now? And it'll be up to Lunchbox to either just tell me, answer the question, because what's the disrespect in that? Because after him answering that question, that might make me open to want to know even more or even learn more about how he made that a hit record or what I can do to make a hit record. I feel like younger kids, like boom, hold on. Let me finish because I was listening to everybody. When we in school, we were literally taught this main thing when we was in school, and that was if you did not know something, you were told to ask a question. And I feel like with the industry, I feel like wait, hold on.
But
I feel like
remember,
with this,
school
hold
teaches you how
on.
to be a worker, Dick. School.
Just hold on, let me finish. I feel like that applies everywhere, and I feel like that shit, that whole narrative of nah, you need to go do your research and stop asking questions, that shit need to be dead. Because a lot of these kids, they want to ask these people these questions directly. They don't want to ask Google because half the time they'll find out some information on Google. They'll come in a room and talk to somebody about the information that they got from Google, and then somebody that actually works in the field that they tried to learn and will tell them that that information was wrong. So
and
of
that
course
they
they're
don't know
gonna
what
want
they're
to.
talking
Of
about.
course they're
That's
gonna want to
right.
come and ask these people these questions directly.
Are you trying to learn or are you trying to just combat?
I'm trying to make a medium. I'm trying to learn, but I'm also trying to make a medium between the younger audience that I have and the older audience that I work with. Because these younger kids are asking questions, and these older people are literally shunning them down, and it's fucked up. Like this is the generation that's coming
Just like
behind us.
Nigo in London. When the last time you streamed 1,000,000 times?
You said what?
When the last time you streamed 1,000,000 times, London?
I didn't stream 1,000,000 times yet.
But you see how that comes off. Her answer,
That,
she didn't even want to.
but the point is, when you was asking your question, was you coming?
But
what's the
you
last
asked
record you broke?
you
No,
asked
that's
the
not a learning.
question.
That's not a
You know what I'm
learning.
saying? You asked the question, I answered it. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the older
Yeah,
generation.
but you didn't want to answer it though. You didn't
No,
sound happy to
I
answer it, London.
You can't say she didn't
no
want
no
to
no no
answer.
no
She
no
just
no.
answered it.
I just answered it. I don't
That's
care.
not
I
that's a
said you didn't
no.
sound happy to answer it. You didn't sound happy to answer
No,
it.
no, no, no. I don't care. Like you feel what I'm saying? I'm raw. Like I'll tell you. Like I don't
Nah,
care.
I was just, again, I was just trying to make a point. Like, it's not asking questions are a problem. It's just, to me personally, that question that he asked at the moment, what's the last record you broke, is disrespectful to an OG, bro. And I've been around
Nah,
OGs
he
my
was just
whole life. Like
asking.
me,
Like
my whole life.
That's like
No, I get it
asking
though, but that's not a question.
Lido.
That's just not a question
Lido. Let
that you
me give
ask.
you an example. Lido. That's like when you said a master chef. You asking the master chef, "Yo, can you cook? What was the last meal you cooked?" Does that sound like you trying to learn something?
Nah,
You know what it is?
you know what?
It
I
don't
think
sound like I'm trying
honestly,
to learn.
You gotta hold on,
It
guys.
don't sound like I'm trying to learn.
The problem is people don't do their research. People don't do their due diligence and they don't do their research. So yes, I'm 32 years old. When I see people who I admire, I respect in the music industry, and I'm not in the music industry in no form or fashion. All I do is podcasting
in media. But what I've learned through those experiences, by getting into those rooms and meeting certain people, is you study those people. You study them. You know, you be well rounded that you know everybody. So when you meet them, I don't ask people the last time they had a hit. Like when I met Guru, and I say, yo, Guru, yo, it's crazy to see where your career has been from you just making 5 o'clock in the morning in DC. The nigga looked at me befuddled, like, yo, how do you even know that? I was like, yo, I did my research.
And that's the thing.
So
If you want the respect, it's like you can't say like Lavar, for example, like if you're getting into DJing, and even when I'm on stage with people, even when I'm a moderator and it's a music room and people are asking for feedback, and Cherry, she's on stage, so I'm sure she's heard me. Savannah, she's been on stage with me. There are some people
Yes.
who give general feedback, but every single person that speaks or plays music in a room, I don't just give them general feedback. I go to their Instagram and I'm looking at their Instagram. If their Instagram has links to their YouTube, I'm looking at all that shit from the time that they speak to the time that their music stops. And when you're truly interested in something, you start to look at the players. And when you have some of the players that you might not know in the room, you find out information, even if it is just to prove your point. But you
and
saying what's your last record is not as strong as what do DJs do if the last record you broke was this? Like, how
Agreed.
are you breaking records now? Because then you kind of show, like, even though I'm new in this, I am trying to learn. I'm not trying to act like, okay, like whatever, fuck whatever you're doing. Because whenever that person came up, think about how hard it was for black people to be on radio. Like, not for nothing, his radio was a Latin market. Almost every PD is like Spanish or Asian. You feel me? So it's hard enough to come up as a black person in that in itself. Our
Oh,
OGs that were on top at one point, they're not on top no more because DJs don't break records like that. Playlists took over. So
Alicia,
Alicia, wait, till Alicia
Alicia, I'd
talk.
like
No
to
good.
just, can I
Go
just,
ahead,
Somebody
can
Sherry.
I
bring
Go ahead,
just
Quay
Sherry.
please,
up.
can I
If you could
just
bring
Go ahead,
Quay
piggyback
Sherry.
on
off of
up, we
Sherry.
got
what she
time to
said?
check.
I believe that also if the questions are not self-serving, like for instance, if you're going into a business like for Atlantic Records, if you were working for Atlantic Records and you're working for someone huge and the questions that you're asking is more self-serving than for the team or for the goodness of everybody, that can also be a red flag for some teachers.
Yep.
I feel I've noticed that in management. It's like, okay, right now we're trying to like win this race and you want to know about something else and it's obvious that you want to take that information and go somewhere else. I've seen, that's sometimes frowned upon. Not that people don't want to teach you, but it's just like what's going on at the task of hand. And a lot of elders or elders in the business or OGs, want you to come in and really play the game.
But you
And
know what's
Sherry,
crazy? You
when
know
I
what's
say
crazy? Hold on,
something,
y'all. Hold on, y'all.
I
Hold on,
just
y'all.
want to give LeVar this one tip.
Go
You
ahead,
have to
Rob, and then
learn.
I'm going to speak right after you.
You have to learn the power of no. And I think that that's something that we don't tell the younger generation.
Amen.
When
What do you mean by no?
So I'll
saying
explain it
no.
to you. When I started podcasting and I was trying to get guests, I couldn't for the life. And I'll give you this example. When Biggs came out of jail, and they did the Reasonable Doubt pop up on Broadway. LeVar, you remember that Reasonable Doubt pop up? And they had like all a whole
Yeah, I
bunch of
remember that.
they did the Diamond DD Studios over, and Biggs was selling all the apparel and what have you. The night they had a press night, and I really wanted to go, but I didn't have a press pass. So I emailed and weaseled my way into whatever PR I wanted to speak to get to go to this event from me and my podcast, because the name of the podcast was Public Service Announcement. So when I hit the lady, I was like, "Yo, my name of the podcast is Public Service Announcement, yada yada yada," and she was like, "Yo, that's great. Do you have a press kit?" And I said, "What the hell is a press kit? I mean, a media kit." And I said, "What the hell is a
That's a
media
question
kit?"
right there, though.
And what she told me, she said, "Hey, look, I'm telling you no because you don't have this. Go back, come up with this, keep in contact with me, and I'll see what I can do for you for the next event." So what I learned is that no is an answer. It's not the answer that you want, but is an answer. And what the next question when someone tells you no is, what do I need to do to turn that no into a yes?
But that's the
What
thing.
am I missing? What is not on my tool belt that you're telling me no. So even when I see young artists be like, yo, nobody's listening to my music, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that. Why are they not doing it? Are you asking for feedback? Are you asking for general criticism? Are you asking to say, what can I turn your no into a yes? What am I missing in my repertoire that is making you shun me? Because when you start asking people why, like what, and not necessarily why, but what can I do to change your mind? That's when you're taking feedback and criticism and making it constructive. Because now when you go back to them, you say, yo, so when I went back to her and was like, yo, I got a media kit, I have this, that, and the third, I built a relationship with her now. Now she's told, and she didn't have to give me that information. The fact that she gave me that, I truly believe because she was a black woman, and I believe that black women just do that for people. She didn't have to give me that information, but she did, and I greatly appreciated her because for her giving me that information allowed me to move in certain spaces that I knew that. So even when I see younger artists come to me when I was like in the midst of my podcast, like, yo, do you have a media kit? Yo, what is that? All right, this is a media kit. You'll need this. Come back to me with a media kit that gives you all your highlights. Tell me things that you've done, and that way it's mutual beneficial for me to give you my
But
platform and
yo,
you to use
Rob,
mine.
I don't want to cut you off, but I'm gonna take the most valid point in everything that you just said. You see how you just told that story? You know what I took from that story? The main point, the
What's up?
fact that she said you need to have a press kit. You see how you said, "What is the press kit?" And she answered you after and everything and gave you the information. You was able to have a conversation for you to go back and be able to learn to do that. Why can't every conversation be like that? Why is it that when a kid asks a question, he is told like, oh, what do you mean? You should know this already. But this is the crazy thing. Now I'm gonna give another example, right? And I'm gonna use myself as an example. For 5 years, I sat in the music industry, and I had people who was in bigger positions than me ask me questions about things that they did not know, and I answered them. Why? Because at the end of the day, if somebody asks me a question, I'm gonna answer it. Why is it that when it's on the opposite side of the field, nobody can answer the question, or it's always got to be
But
like,
Dick,
oh, you
this
need
is
to come
why
Let,
back
I'm
and do
trying
your
to
research
explain
let
on
me
to
it.
tell you the
you.
truth, bro.
Hold on. Or
Real
it's
quick,
always got to be,
his
it's a
question.
time and a place for things. These is young kids that we talking about, young kids. Not all the time. If they in a room with somebody and they feel like that's the person that's right there that they know can answer their question, of course they just gonna come out and be like, yo, like, can I ask you a question? You feel what I'm saying? Because it's just a question.
No, bro,
If
I
you
think you're
decide,
right.
if you decide to take offense into somebody asking you a question, that's your insecurities coming into play. That's you personally taking into offense what that person is saying, and maybe you have some personal issues you need to dish out. Because somebody asking you a question should never be disrespectful. That shit is fucking crazy. That's crazy
Exactly.
that
And
y'all
we're not
saying
talking for
that.
ourselves.
Okay.
We're talking for
Hey,
the
look,
the,
bro.
the
I,
younger ones.
You're
I honestly,
absolutely right. It should be an exchange. If older people are learning from younger people should be able to learn from older people. I didn't know that that was your experience, and I'm sorry that that
Thank you,
happened to
Cherry.
you.
We appreciate
Can,
that. We're not talking
can
for us.
somebody
We're talking for the
with
younger
Sean?
ones.
I
Industry,
think some
niggas in the
people feel
music industry
entitled to
did not know
information.
what drill music was, and they was asking me questions about niggas that I was hanging out with, and they was answering, and I was answering them. And then they wanted to act like they didn't want to jack these
Lavar.
niggas, and then they
Yo,
went and
bro.
started jacking these same
But
niggas. Like,
I
LeVar,
come
you
on.
honestly
gotta
think
stop
it's
But
an
you
giving
know what it
him
ego
is too,
free
thing.
Lavar?
Like
stuff.
it's an ego thing.
And
Like I think
also too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, London.
I feel like because I went through some joint with like well older person. You know what I'm saying that I looked up as my idol, and
Hmm.
I never asked for no favor or anything dealing with industry wise. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna check up on the person, make sure the person is good. If you ask me for something, I'll come through with whatever favor the person was asking me about. And the person attached to me so bad, he's like, yo, you never asked me about no industry shit. You never asked me for a favor and stuff like that. After a while, I'm doing my music. Shorty's giving me tips here and there, boom, 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 boom. Then she's asking me to post her anniversary tape. Cool, I throw it up in the story. It's an argument. I started to notice like everything I'm doing, like she's taking fault from it and trying to come at me about certain stuff. And what I'm getting in my head now is like, yo, you mad because you think I'm gonna take your spot because you already done your dues already. I admire what you do. You get what I'm saying? I feel like the older generation, we admire what the older generation do. Why nobody
Facts.
want to give? We just asking for tips. We're not asking for favors. We're not asking for a thing that costs $1.
Mm.
Just
Let me
drop some jewels
Can
on us,
I?
Yo, I
bro.
wanna
can I
I
say
wanna
You know
give
what's
somebody
something?
crazy?
their
Let me ask
roses.
it.
Wait,
That,
anything
Shout
I
to
can
Hey,
help
quick,
with,
Excuse
I
shout
me.
to
will
Big D the
always.
weatherman because he
did
always
Excuse me.
answers any
somebody bring up?
questions.
Wait,
A
Sean
question.
and
I
Big
was a
D.
I
question.
was
Can
I was
somebody
gonna
bring up
say I
Quay
was gonna
Can I
say
Sean and
say
Big
something real
Who y'all
quick?
want me to bring up?
go ahead,
I
D?
brought
brother.
him up already. I would just
D.
wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
give flowers to Big D
Big D.
because that's one OG I know for a fact. If we ask him something, he be answering it. So I just want to give Big D his flowers, bro, because a lot of OGs don't do that.
Yo,
Thank
big
you,
Yeah, but
fair
but
fact.
but you know what's crazy? Yeah, we got to stop doing that too. As a young generation, like Big D, nigga, I've been around Big D since I was about 9, 8 years old. So Big D damn near like an uncle. You know what I'm saying? Troy Marshall, Benny Pugh. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these dudes are definitely mentors to me. But we gotta definitely stop saying the OGs. We just gotta say some of them niggas. Like, cause at the end of the day, bro, I get a lot of knowledge. I seek a lot of knowledge from my big homies, and they always open
But
to give me
Lito,
the
that's because you got
information.
a personal
And
relationship, bro.
nah,
It's
nah. But
different when
look,
you
bro.
don't have a
Hold
personal
on, bro.
relationship
Bro,
and ask those
hold on, bro.
questions.
Homie, hold on, bro. I never tell people who I am until I show and prove. So when I walk in a room, I do my due diligence. You know what I'm saying? I put in my work, and then I make people out there and let them know who my mom's and who my pops is. You know what I'm saying? But that's after I prove myself. So I never put myself in a position to where niggas is gonna treat me different because of who my lineage is. So that's one. And everything I'm done on my own. I did the internship just like y'all niggas. I got my treatments, my marketing ideas, my creative ideas. Hey nigga, I pitched Queen Naja, YK Osiris, Maxo Cream, the baby, Stunner. I pitched all of them to rock while I was over there interning, bro, and a lot of them just didn't
Respect.
understand it.
I heard.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
I
heard.
love that.
Bro, you're
And
300
this
million.
is real shit.
That's
You know what
crazy.
I'm saying? And dudes like Big D was there, the big homie was there. A lot of people was there, but I just don't want us to pinpoint the OGs as like bitter niggas who don't want to give us info. They do,
It's
but
not
we
all of
have
them.
to
That's
Thank
what
you.
we
Nah,
understand.
it's
said.
we
not.
We
It's
not
not
we
not
all
not
of
all.
them.
doing that.
Hold on,
It's
Yo,
Let
definitely
me
not
Not
say
all
all
of
of
my
them.
them.
last
It's
point.
hold
My
on,
definitely
last
not
hold on,
all
point.
of
y'all.
them.
My last
Hold on,
point.
hold
Lito,
on,
My
y'all.
last point. My last point, and I'm out. My last
All
point,
right.
and I'm out. We have to understand too that this music shit is like a secret society, bro. Like whoever you bring in this shit, whoever you give information to, like this is a huge blessing, bro. And nowadays, niggas just be in the room and niggas get opportunities just because they in the room. You know what I'm saying? A lot of niggas they ain't even putting in their work nowadays, bro. They just feel like because they sat in the session for 12 hours, they deserve some information. But nah, man, you have to seek information, and the information that you don't have, ask the right fucking question. You know what I'm saying? It was just, I don't think asking the question is a problem. It's just, what's the last record you broke seems a little bit like challenging. Like you trying to challenge that nigga's,
But
like you
But
ain't
that was the
earned that
top.
right
that's
yet.
That was
you
the top.
taking that personally and
That
saying
sounds
that.
like a personal
No,
problem.
I'm
Though.
just saying that type of question, bro, is just not the right type of question. But any other question should be answered.
Bro, that
really
Can I?
quickly,
sounds
can
like a
you guys
personal
bring
problem,
up
bro.
Can you guys bring up Quayshawn? I believe
Earn
Yeah.
your
he
money,
is
you
in
gotta earn it right, bro.
the fourth row.
And can I say something real quick? My name is Liz Garner. I want you guys to please listen. I've been in this business for 25 years. I worked for Dallas Austin for 5 years for free. And I did that because I needed to learn everything I could possibly learn from him. I was a fly on the wall. If he had a session, I was in the corner. He didn't know I was there. Until he really learned who I was, learned what my strengths were, and I went on. I have done 45 albums. I have been on 200 projects. I've done over $100 million in publishing acquisition and deals in the last 2 years. I got an email last week that's on my through my website that said I need, I would love to talk to you. I could use your help. I don't have a deal. My producers don't have a deal. Okay. So I emailed him back and I said, well, first things first, I need a list of what songs you've done and when they were released. It's called a discography for those that don't know. Um, so I asked him for a discography. He sends me back. It's a simple request. I need a discography so I can determine what's going to be the best play for you. This dude told me go to redvision.com and get it yourself.
I hate when they do
And
that.
I said, hold up. I said, I don't have time to go and search for something because when you go to his website, he had James Fauntleroy music, which I know James personally. I know they didn't do that. Maya, I've worked on every project Maya's ever done. Jagged Edge, all these people that he had on this website, and he told me, go get it. If I, as and I would consider myself an OG, if I ask you for a specific thing, please respect me enough to give me that, and don't call, don't respond and go get it yourself. And then he told me that I was being disrespectful.
No, he was being ignorant. I'm gonna be honest
And
with
I
you.
was
Yeah, he's being
like,
ignorant, Liz.
straight
Definitely being
up,
ignorant, Liz.
no, straight up ignorant.
Big piece of shit.
And then I told him, I was like, I said, get the fuck out of
I would have
here.
told him to
Like,
hold a frame.
do not,
Yeah, it's not gonna
I was
work.
like, you have no clue. And I put him on blast because I'm like, you don't come at somebody. I'm one of those. Every Monday night, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Clubhouse, I do a class on publishing. You want knowledge? You get knowledge. You get 30 minutes of class, and then we talk for 30 to 45, sometimes even an hour of questions and
Yeah, I gotta holler at
answers.
you.
So Liz, I have a
Like,
question. I have a question
yeah,
for you, and I have a question for Big D as well. Big D is still in the room with us.
yeah, he should be
Your
in.
Big D,
Big
you here?
D. Yeah,
All
he's
right. I
in.
just want to ask y'all this question: if a young
Yeah.
person comes to y'all and asks y'all a question, it doesn't matter what the question is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to answer that question for them, or are you going to
Always.
always, right?
Always. And
And
I tell you why. Because one is, I not only work with some of the older cats, Ugly God is my nephew. So I have the benefits of, and the knowledge that I even call him and ask him questions. You know what I mean? Like, still, because I used to be on the marketing side and the label side, and, working with artists and producers. I'm talking about old head. I've been here for a while, and I heard you guys talking about, like, we literally walked around putting posters up. We literally, when Puff came in, Outcast, like, we had this whole team. Sean Holiday used to do it. We had this whole team that would literally walk around with posters on some sticks, promoting throughout the city. We had vans that we would wrap. So marketing then and marketing now is very, very different. And there's a double-edged sword with
I can
social
agree and
media.
disagree with that because
Yeah.
I'll give an example. An artist that I was working with, right? His
Uh-huh.
name is N.A.O. Quelly. He was one of Joey Badass's first artists that he signed to his new label, right?
Right.
And what we were doing was not only were we promoting the music online, but we was going outside. And there's a lot of other artists that I personally know. This other dude named Yoshi 24K,
Yeah.
and a lot of the dudes from they were blowing the posters up, putting them on bus stations, putting them in the train stations and whatnot. I remember I was throwing a party and I went outside. I said, yo, fuck the internet. I want a wheat paste and go outside and put pictures up. So it's like, I feel like it is the same. You feel what I'm saying? It's just a lot of people aren't doing that, you know?
Right.
That's
No,
all it is.
it is. But I'm just saying, I know Sean said this, like, it was very different for us coming up than it is for you guys now. You have more at your fingertips. How you choose to do that. But from my perspective, when I tell people DM me, I answer. I don't review music. I'll tell you now. Please don't send me music. It's not what I do. If you have a publishing question, anything about getting a deal, how to register a song, how to register with a PRO, which is ASCAP, or BMI, CSAC, and GMR, those are both invitation only. I will tell you anything and everything. I will go and help get deals. I will help structure deals. A lot of people are saying don't go and get a pub deal. If you structure the pub deal where it's beneficial to both the publisher and the writers and producers, and you're not stuck in contracts, there are no MDRCs, there are no, which is a minimum delivery requirement, release Yeah,
that's a no-no.
There's no more of those deals. You can either do like song deals. You can do structure it where you have a deal that reverts in 7 years and you get all your publishing and copyrights. Like, that's the information you guys need to know. If there's anything, there was a class this morning, like, if there's one thing that you can tell and pass down knowledge, learn publishing, because that is where the money is. Like, that's
She
how
not
you
lying,
get,
y'all. She not lying.
it's how you get paid. If you don't have a song registered with a PRO, if
You ain't
it
getting
plays
shit.
and gets made somewhere, you don't get paid. If you put it up on a digital platform, you don't get paid if that song's not registered. So you guys have to understand, this is the business of music. You've got to know the business side. You
I just
can't
feel
just
like
throw
everything you're
stuff out
saying.
there and expect everything to stick without, and I'm not saying you guys
Thank you,
don't
Liz.
work. You
Liz,
do.
thank
I
you. I
respect
appreciate that.
everything she just said, like
Appreciate that.
Me
100%.
too.
And I honestly, like, just to add on to what she's saying, it's
Definitely
stuff
gotta
like
follow.
that I love, because it's like everything else, and I'm not gonna say every single thing, but there are a lot of other people in the industry who gatekeep. And these kids come up and they ask these questions and they tell them, why are you asking a question like that? There's a time and a place for a question like that. It's not how you said it, but when you said it. Or it's not when you said it, but how you said it. And it's like, when the fuck was there ever a way to ask a question? A
Or to
question
learn.
Hey,
Well,
is
yo, and
literally
Dick, and
just
Dick,
a
Ego,
and Dick. Hey,
ego,
question.
Billboard,
egos.
Billboard, bring up
I
a
think
few
it's just
of the
based off time.
5'9".
She's up here already.
Yo, and Dick, not No, just that, but also Dick, like the disrespectful like atmosphere that sometimes is set for us to not even get the opportunity to be able to
Yeah.
speak up in these rooms. Like, literally, I just had K Slate call me, like, Billboard, seriously, like, you don't gotta be in these rooms. Like, he saw me get pushed down to the audience 7 times on the last stage that I was on, just trying to
Yeah,
ask questions and also
me too,
speak up for
Billboard.
the youth.
I
You feel
get
me?
it
So like, you feel me? So Liz, and I respect you because you be in my
all
rooms
the
all the time
time.
and dropping knowledge and dropping juice. And I always invite the OGs because I feel like in my rooms, it's that bridging the gap. Like, Scooter Braun came to my room and he literally sat there and asked me a question like, how do we bridge the gap between the youth and the OGs?
And you
How do
And
we
that's
answered
do
it,
what this
that?
didn't
room
you?
is here for. That's what we're
And
trying
you
to do
answered it.
now.
You
Wait,
feel
hold
me?
on. And Billboard, you answered it, right?
Facts. Facts. I
Exactly.
sat there and spoke to him for over an hour. Over an hour, he sat there and listened and spoke to
And
me. So I feel
that's
like,
the
we
thing.
can do that more.
And
For
that's the
sure.
thing. It's like the younger people, when anybody comes to us, it don't matter if they our age, way older than us, or way younger than us. When somebody come to us and asks us a question, we answer it. Why? Because we care enough to let
Wait,
these
wait,
people
wait, wait,
know.
wait, wait, wait.
Yo, bro, question. Do y'all
Dick.
think everybody's
Lavar,
eligible to answer
Lavar,
that question?
I gotta say
One
Wait,
this.
mic,
guys, one mic,
one
one
up.
mic. Let's
Y'all
keep the
both
organization,
talking
bro.
over each
Lavar,
Respect.
other.
Lavar,
Let's
Lavar,
not
Lavar.
talk at the same time.
I'm not
What's up?
trying. I asked you the question earlier on. I said, "What questions do you have?" You asked me one question so far.
I agree with that. I've asked you one too, so I agree with that, Sean.
Yo, y'all bring up Royce the 5'9", man. He down there and waiting to say something, man.
For sure. I'm gonna bring him up right
Sean
now. I'm looking for
Waleed.
him.
I
Yo,
also
who
want to
keeps?
say,
Yo,
everybody.
just
hold,
like how we
Everybody,
realize
hold
in
on, hold
life,
on.
every
I don't see
Hey,
Royce. Oh yeah, it's right there.
even
everybody.
like how we,
How are all of you young people doing
Question
tonight?
to ask right now. I'm not gonna ask a question. I made the room because I wanted to bridge the conversation between people that are older than me and people that are younger than me, so that we could come to a medium in some way. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, younger kids got questions. I don't have no questions for anybody in this room right now because if somebody asks me a question, I'm gonna just answer it. You feel what I'm saying? I don't have questions for anybody
That
in this room.
that's
The
that's
whole
fair.
point.
Just wanted to ask it if you did. I want to answer it if you did.
Nah, and I
That's fair.
Yeah,
respect that.
For sure.
I,
And
I
thank you
do
so and
feel
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think right now, I
Hey,
think it's a great time for us to just share dialogue between each other, and the questions are organically gonna come out. For sure.
so this is Quayshawn. I've been listening a little bit, and I'm kind of 50%. Like I understand what's going on, so um, I'm just gonna say my little piece, and then hopefully I can contribute to the conversation. But it sounds to me like that what you guys are saying is that the older guys, people who've been in the business, or the veterans. I don't even like the term OGs because I don't even think.
thank you.
And I've been in the business. I've been in
Yes,
the
sir.
business.
Amen.
This is my 34th year in the music industry. And I'm not an OG because the music industry's been around a long time before I came along. You know what I'm saying? But I would say I'm a somewhat of a veteran. I guess what I'm hearing is that the younger generation is much more willing to share information and share knowledge with each other and with the older generation. And you're feeling that you're hitting roadblocks with the older generation when it comes to them reciprocating sharing with you. Is that what you're saying, Dick?
Yes.
And not just the
Okay, hold
sharing
on.
part, but it's also listening to us when we speak as well.
Right.
As
I
well.
just feel like
Okay,
Quay. I just feel like, like with a lot of conversations with younger people, I feel like they get scolded a lot as if, the person that's speaking to them is their parent. And then I hear like a lot of older people say like, oh well, these kids is acting arrogant or they acting cocky and then this, that, and the third. And it's like a lot of these kids, and it's like I'm gonna just speak on the ones that I speak to. I have 26,000 followers on Instagram. Out of that 26,000, I could be honest right now and tell everybody in this room that I know at least 10 to 15,000 of these kids personally. Like I talk to them on a regular throughout
right.
the year. You feel what I'm saying? And what they all tell me, and I've been talking to them every year for the past, since 2009 now. I've been talking to all of these kids before I even had an Instagram. They all tell me the same thing. Every time they talk to an older person, not all of them, but most of them, about 70, 75 to almost 80% of them that they talk to, anytime that they ask a question, try to find out information, or just try to have a conversation with them to find out something new or try to learn something, they're being spoken to as if they are a fucking child, or if they're supposed to sit down and listen to whatever that person is telling them. And then they don't even get their questions answered, or they don't get the information that they want. And that's the reason why a lot of these kids start to retaliate against older people. And they say, fuck the old heads, fuck all these older niggas. We don't need none of these niggas, because at the end of the day, they're not even trying to listen to us. And it's fucked up. It's like, even earlier in the conversation, it's like the fact that y'all telling me that any question is just like, asking a question is an issue. If I ask a person a question and they take that shit personal, that's their fucking problem. That shit don't got nothing to do with what I asked, how I asked it, or when I asked it. It's because they got upset about the question I was asked, because maybe they got something personal going on inside of them that's making them feel like something that was just asked to them is making them feel
Was
like
That's
offensive,
kind of
it's,
like
it's
right?
fucked
entitlement, though,
up.
Hey,
bro.
That's
hey,
the
bro,
only
Everybody
way
got
to
hold
put
on,
it.
hold on.
entitlement,
Wait, wait, wait,
bro.
wait.
One mic,
Hold
guys.
on,
One mic,
everybody. Hold
guys.
on,
One
everybody.
mic,
That's
guys.
entitlement.
Hold
Can
on,
I say?
It's
everybody.
not entitlement. How is that entitlement? If a
Everybody,
nigga
no,
asks you a
shut,
question,
Lavar,
Dick,
if
because
a nigga asks a
Dick,
question,
Dick, hold on one second.
hold on.
Hold on.
If somebody
Everybody
asks you a
stop. Wait,
question,
Dick,
how is
hold
that
on for a second.
entitlement?
it's
Dick,
entitlement,
hold on
bro.
for
You
a
have
second.
to earn the right to
Wait,
ask
no,
certain.
Lido,
I
hold on.
gotta earn the right
Everybody,
to ask a
hold
question.
on.
I understand
Everybody,
that.
hold on. We're not gonna get anywhere yelling over each other. Stop for a minute. God damn. Like,
Well, nobody's
calm
yelling, bro.
down,
We
man.
having a debate.
Hold on,
All
hold
right,
on.
guys. All
Listen
right,
to
guys.
me.
All right, guys. All
Listen
right,
to
guys.
me.
Let's do this. Let's do
Stop.
this. Okay,
Stop for a
okay, okay,
second.
okay, okay.
Everyone
I got
stop.
quick.
Let
One mic,
Quayshawn
guys. One mic.
speak.
Quick. One time.
Hold on. That doesn't need to be
Hold on,
said
guys.
right
I
now.
just want
Hold on
to.
one
I just
second,
wait. I
sweetheart.
got you.
Bill,
Let me
Wait,
talk
wait.
to
1 second.
Dick
Bibble,
I
real
hold
just
on,
want
quick.
to
hold
get
on,
the
hold
room
on.
back under
Y'all
Bibble,
control.
all
hold
One
saying
on.
one
second.
Let
second.
Quay talk. Let Quay talk.
Guys,
Let Quay
please.
talk.
Just for
Please,
1 second, so
please,
that
How
we
many
can
just
get
questions,
this.
stop.
Bill?
How many seconds?
Stop. Everybody stop.
Go ahead.
Would you like me to tell you the honest to goodness truth about
One.
all this? Dick, are you ready? Number one, I'm going to tell you that you're absolutely right about that. And you want me to tell you why? What happens is, one, you young guys are a threat to a lot of these old guys because they're in their job, and a lot of people get so comfortable in the job they stop working hard. They forgot how to grind and how to hustle, and they lost that ambition to get out and really get in the streets and be gritty, because the way that the record label's dynamic has changed. They are more focused on job security than they are on breaking new talent. Number one. So when a guy like you comes along and when I hear you talk, you remind me of me 33 years ago, right? You got that same, like, I'm just ready to get out here and break things. I want to get out here and make hit records. I want to be a part of the solution, right? You make them nervous. This is the honest truth. And it's not, and that's why I said I want to stop talking about OGs and that's not the proper term. You got people who are veterans who have been working in these jobs for a long time that, in my opinion, they need to go. You know what
No
I'm saying?
cap.
And there's people who are in those jobs that have experience that need to stay, because those are the ones that will help you to get to where you're trying to go. That being said, You also, knowing this, you have to keep that in mind when you're interacting and conversating with older people. Don't always take the position like, yo, I don't care how you take it. I just said it. Just be mindful when you're conversing with somebody what they may or may not be going through, because in the middle of that, when you turn an enemy into a friend, and that's always been my forte. That's why I was successful as many years as I've been and still able to be here, is because I turn enemies into friends. What you're going to find when you develop that tactic is that some of the people who seem to be shutting you down are going to be the first person cheering you on and building you up. It's no right or wrong answer here. People are just people.
Yeah.
And some people, like, you'll know who's doing what in the business. Dudes that are really, really successful, when you talk to them, they're going to have nothing but information to share with you. They're going to be willing to share the knowledge with you because they've benefited from it so much that they got to give back. A lot of times when you meet a veteran who doesn't want to talk, and it's not every time, because again, people are people. You're gonna find that there's people who ain't doing shit. They're just trying to survive. They're just trying to keep the desk. And those people will not want to share too much with you because they don't want you to take their job. That's the harsh reality of any business, not just the music business, but any business. Just like
Question, can I say something? And Billboard,
Please
thank
do.
you.
Please do.
I'm not going to stay too long. I just had to come in because for me, yes, I'm a vet. And I put over 2 decades into this business. And, I just want to say to the young brother that, we all have bad apples in the bunch, right? And you can't, because you had a bad experience with a few, feel that the rest of us are that way. I also think that on both sides, bro, just let me talk for a second, baby. I just think on both sides, I think we have to just be mindful of our approach and the tone when we speak to people. There's just the levels to this business. And when I first started, I couldn't get into the boardroom. I had to earn getting into the boardroom and speaking to people that you don't know, like a A.D. Washington and a Michael Malden and all the pioneers that came before me. There's, the music business is set up in a way where there is hierarchy. And, when you get to a certain level of hierarchy, there's just a certain respect. And, just to be frank, no, everybody can't just step to you. I don't care who you are. No, everybody can't walk in Billboard's lane. Everybody can't just run up to her and just ask her a question and she has to answer them. It's the manner.
But I
and the
do though.
approach.
But I do. And
I
I
know,
show them
sis,
mad
but
love.
I know, sis,
And
but
it's
what
not
I'm
about asking. You could decline politely. The problem is they
yes.
don't even decline politely, Camille.
right.
Well, you
But
know what?
everyone doesn't deserve access to you.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
That's all
we're
I'm
saying.
saying.
That's what all we're saying. My brother up at the top, I don't know, Dick By, I'm not sure what the whole name is, my brother. But when you yeah, is that cool? Okay, cool. I'm always messing up people's names. When you get to a certain level, baby, everybody can't have access to you. When you've worked and sacrificed and put your family shit on the side just so you could do what you do, and you've been at places when you couldn't give back to your family, you don't want everybody in that circle. However, you have to guard what you are and your brand. So I just think that sometimes, I think our approach, we have to be really mindful of how we step, whether it's to a vet or to a youngin. It doesn't make a difference. It's just, I think we're not trying to not hear you. My son will tell you, and he's big in this business. My son will tell you, I don't want to be around a whole bunch of old niggas. I want to know what the streets are talking about because I'm not going to the club. I want to hear the lingo that changes every single day because this culture, I want to preserve this culture. And I can't preserve the culture without y'all. I can't. I think we just have to stop separating from each other and feel like it. I think you just got to ask the questions. And if you feel that we're not answering you, bro, step to me politely and respectfully. And I want to hear your voice because your voice is so important. Because in a few years, when I don't want to do this shit no more, I want to make sure that you keep my culture that I sacrifice alive. And I hope that makes sense to you. And that's the reason why I came in this room, because I wanted to hear. The only thing that we felt was that the title, sometimes your title shit, and it comes comes off a little disrespectful to us, and that's where the problem is. Y'all could have titled shit a little bit differently, and that's what I mean about just the approach that we take with one another moving forward. I love y'all brothers. Without you, there's no pulse of this culture, and I hope y'all realize that.
We appreciate you, Camille.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
definitely
Yeah,
appreciate
and don't
Hey,
forget,
Billboard.
and don't
Thank you for
forget.
bringing me up. Hi, this is Avery, guys. Sorry to jump in.
Go ahead, jump
I'm
in.
a bounce
Billboard.
now, y'all, right? But I do love y'all. Please do not feel that we are keeping y'all out. Y'all have a question,
Bye,
motherfucking ask
Camille.
me,
I just
okay?
wanted to say while you're in the room, I'll definitely say Camille has tapped me on the shoulder a few times. Like every Rock Nation check I've ever gotten throughout my career has been because of Camille. And I knew people in the
for
building.
sure.
And she saw the work I was putting in from the outside. I met Lito when he was working with different magazines, and then she called me out of nowhere, like, I got a job for you. So don't think that if you're putting in work, the right people aren't going to notice. There are people that want to help. It's just that sometimes we are quick to turn and ask the people we see instead of the ones that really give and reach back. Like the people who are in the room right now are the people that want to answer your question.
We want to
Most
reset.
definitely.
Reset the room
I
real
That's a
hope
quick.
that
fact.
we
Real
can
Billboard.
quick,
try to.
Camille.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to say
we're
that
about to
Camille
reset
has
the room right after
definitely.
Camille, I just want to say thank you so much. You were one of the first people. Like, if you just look on stage, like you were one of the first people that came to this room. I remember being in the room with you guys, in the other room, and you came back like, hey, I just wanted to, go over there and check out what they were doing to find out information. Like, basically, you want to bridge the gap. You are willing to do so, and I commend you, and I say thank you because we definitely want that to happen. We're not against working with everybody that paved the way for us. We want to do that. So I want to say thank you. I just followed you just now on Clubhouse, and I want to continue to be in your rooms. And thank you so much for adding to this conversation. We
And
appreciate you.
sis, listen, I'm open to mentoring because, like I said, in a little like I've been doing this for 27 years. I'm fucking tired. And in a little while, when I leave and I want to do just anything else that's outside, I've been doing this since college. I know nothing else but this music, but I don't want it to be lost because they taking our culture from us, brothers and sisters. They taking our culture from us, and it's only up to y'all to work with us to keep it. That's all I'm
And
asking
that's one
you,
of the things
okay?
we asked some of the people that came in. Would you mind mentoring some of us that are asking for
Bro,
direction? So
you
Hey,
asked
listen.
me, and we here. That
Yeah,
we are here.
I
I
Yeah.
just
speak for
add something real quick.
everybody
Yeah,
in this
Camille's a
room
real one.
that's a veteran. You ask any of us for guidance, and I know the few of you that know me, like Billboard knows. She called me. I pulled up, picked her up, took her to the studio, and stayed with her the whole night, and took her home because I believe in music and I believe in all of you. That will never change. If you see me or you want to message me and you got a question, I'll answer you. If I don't know the answer, I will find somebody who does, because at the end of the day, like Camille said, when we ready to get this shit up, we got to hand it over to somebody, and I want it to be capable hands that
Thank you.
it's handed over to.
and
Thank
thank
you.
you, Krayshawn. We
Hey,
appreciate it. And that's what we
Billboard.
were saying.
Add on.
Billboard. This is Hustle. Can I ask you a question? Well,
I
can I
didn't.
speak really quick? I gotta
I'm a
get.
bounce, y'all. I love you. Thank you, Billboard. Okay, bye,
Thank you
baby.
so
Respect.
much.
Take care.
Thank you, Camille.
Respect always.
LeVar, what was you saying though?
I just got three things I want to say. Before I
God
say
damn.
my things, I'm gonna say these two things, and then the third thing is gonna be what I want to say. The first thing I want to say is, please stop adding people to the stage without letting me know, or one of the other moderators know that y'all adding them up, because it causes confusion, and I want to be able to know who is being added up. And number two, please don't also give out green beans to just anybody, because I made this room because I wanted to bridge a gap. I didn't make this room to argue or throw shade to anybody. I made this room because I feel like this was a conversation that needs to happen, because all of the other conversations that I see happen, the younger people, we don't really have a voice in this, because there's so many veterans, so many people who've been in this entertainment industry and in whatever industry for so long, that they have so much to say and so little to listen to. And when I say so little to listen to, is that we'll be in the room and one or two people amongst the age group of, I'll say, 27 and below, and then everyone else in the room is 28 and up. So it's kind of hard for the younger people to get their voices heard. So I just wanted to say that. And then the third thing I wanted to say is this. If for the past 2020, right, we've witnessed, in my opinion, from my generation of the 27 years that I've been alive, in 2020, we've witnessed one of the biggest progressions of Black people and the inclusiveness of Black people in a very, very long time. We've watched fall to their knees and beg us to come back to them. We've watched companies put out statements to try to tell us that they with us. We've watched companies change the entire aesthetic to try to keep us with them. Now, I say that to say this. If we are all black people and we are talking about the progression of black people, if a young black person asks you a question because they personally want to learn something and you decide to tell that young person either go find that shit out on your own or that what they're saying is disrespectful, I don't think that you are a part of the progression of black people and that you are a part of the gatekeeping that is going on in this industry, because there is no way that a child should ask a question and be told that there is the way that he asked that question or the tone that he asked that question or a time and a place for him to ask that question. Because if a kid is asking the question, he's asking the question out of curiosity to want to know more and to learn more so that he doesn't have to ask those questions anymore in the future.
Or
So
Dick, or
I,
Dick, how about this? How about this? When I like just 20 minutes ago, I was, or maybe a little bit more than an hour ago, I was literally on stage with them, right? The room that we were in all together before you started this room. And literally I got kicked to the audience repeatedly 7 times, back to back to back to back. Then a couple of minutes later, then back to back to back to back. And to where it was like discouraging, to where it's like, yo, I don't even want to talk anymore. But why should I ever feel like I don't want to use my voice in a room where I should feel embraced? I don't know. I don't know,
it's
man.
not even embraced.
yeah,
It's because they do not respect what
can
you
can
are
can
saying.
can I ask you a question?
At all.
Yes,
Can
go ahead.
All right. I see your point. I'm not disputing your point, but I'll ask you this: when you go in a courtroom and there's a judge there who has went through law school, then been an attorney, then might have been a DA or what have you, prosecutor, worked his way up to become a judge, and he's in that room, and you fail to ask a question, like you just said, openly, and there's no question that should not be answered, do you feel the same way in that circumstance?
Yes.
Does
Any question
everybody?
any question should be answered. That's just how I
So,
feel.
but how you feel, does it matter in that
It
setting?
doesn't
One,
matter.
It
It
sound like
doesn't
a
matter.
handout, bro. It sound like a handout, bro. Like niggas
I'm gonna
got to
be
just
on.
start
No,
putting
I'm gonna
in
be
work and
honest
selling
though. I'm gonna be
records.
honest though. That's not a really good
I think
comparison because
back.
that's your freedom, bro. That's your freedom.
Sound like a handout,
Like
bro.
that's different, bro.
You gotta put
Like
in
if
work,
That's
but
the
if
bro.
but
people
You
if
that
gotta
make
but
the
if
sell
you on
laws.
records, bro.
stage
You
though,
Guys,
if
gotta
you
one
on
keep
mic,
that
one
stage,
mic, guys,
information.
one mic. We should
hey
all be able to
Billboard,
talk
but if you on
together.
stage though, if you on stage and you come up and you ask a moderator, what is the last hit that you have? That's fucking disrespectful. Period.
Disrespectful.
I don't ask those
That's
type of
total
questions.
He,
I
he
don't I
was
don't
on
ask those type
stage
of
I'm
already though,
questions.
saying you, but
Wally,
that question was
and he was
asked. That
talking
question
about
was asked.
music and hits. So in
Yeah,
that context, he's
I
right.
get that, but you have to understand the context with the way that that question is asked, and that's if you made some hits, it's obvious that that person knows when the last hit that you made. They know who you are. If you a hit maker, so if they come up on the stage and they say, "When's the last time that you made a hit?" That's fucking disrespectful, fam.
But he
That's
honestly didn't know though.
the question
But you
is
gotta remember,
How
like
was
erroneous.
that
that's the gap.
disrespectful?
Y'all send billboard to the
Nigga,
people
that's
Google
now?
that shit.
disrespectful. You gotta
Google
sell
that
some
shit.
That
records.
is
You gotta get it paid.
disrespectful.
Can I
I ain't
say
gonna
Google
something?
that
lie.
shit,
If
man.
any, I'm gonna just say this.
Hold
I'm gonna
on,
just
hold
say
Can I
this.
say?
on.
Can I say
Let's hear
something, please?
I just want to hear the different reasons why that would
Yeah, I
be.
want to hear this.
Can I say something, please?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what's up? I think that it's just a miscommunication. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand both sides. He's saying it's okay to ask a question, which is right. But the person that asked it, or at the time that he's asking it, it's just the context of how it comes off. It might bruise a nigga's ego. That's what he's saying. And I mean,
Okay.
at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest, bro, and myself included. I have, in some situations, been in a conversation asking a question and I met an asshole. And sometimes I've been an asshole to a person. And I had to check myself
Wait,
on that
what?
shit. Like even Liz, like, yo, I don't know who you talked to from Red Vision, but whatever that conversation was, I
No
want to
way in
address that with you.
hell. That's a real picture.
Listen, I'm gonna. I just
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I just got an email from Jason Salvador, who's the owner
I
of the
know,
Red
yeah,
Vision.
no, I called him. I'm like, I don't know what the
Oh,
fuck is
okay.
going on, but we gonna fix this shit.
Yeah, I, I demand respect, but I also give respect.
For sure.
And
I mean, hit
yeah.
me up after this because I don't want to take their stage.
Oh,
But
yeah.
listen, bro.
No, I'm just
Listen,
saying in general. if respect is given, you know, respect should be received. And I think
Exactly.
that's from
Yeah, but asking that
from
question is disrespectful, though.
I
Let me
mean,
get
that's
it.
how
Let,
you personally
I
feel.
Okay, let's just go.
no.
wait,
Y'all
wait,
gotta
wait, wait,
let
wait,
Mr.
wait, wait,
Jeff
wait.
Nah,
I
but
had
ride.
look,
a
but look.
wait. I had a
Let's
point.
move
I had a
on from
point.
that because it's not getting us nowhere.
No, but listen, I
All
gotta
right.
wait. Listen, it's just basically the person that's asking that question doesn't have some of the veteran grooming. Like a veteran wouldn't ask that question. So if the person had
Right.
time to say, "Bro, this ain't the time for that," but I'll let you know what I worked on, then that shouldn't happen. That should have happened. But nobody else there felt like it. Maybe they was just on drama nuts and just didn't want to say, "Hey, bro, it's not the time for the question." I see niggas on niggas nuts on Clubhouse all the time.
I agree with that. No homo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but no. Speaking of which, I'm in there with
I'm a
Jimmy
real
Jam.
nigga, so I'll tell you what it is.
I'm in there with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I'm not gonna ask them when's your last hit. That's disrespectful.
That's not
It's
I'm gonna
disrespectful,
say
disrespectful.
bro.
this.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
say
say
It's
this.
this.
Hold on,
I
hold on,
do
hold
the
on, hold on, hold on,
research.
hold on,
I
y'all.
do
Hold
the
on, y'all.
research
I'm
on
gonna
this
say
shit.
this.
Listen.
If you Jeff, if you a DJ or artist or whatever, right? And NYU invites you to come to a seminar, right? They invite you to come to a seminar to speak in front of 5,000 kids, and a kid came out and asked you what was the last hit you put out. How you gonna answer that
See,
question?
but that's different. That's
It's
different
not
because you're
different.
taking it out of
They're still
The
context.
trying to
same
learn
thing.
though, Jeff. That's the
Hold on,
point
can
he's
I
trying
No,
to make.
interject? Hold on, young guys, young people. Can I interject really quick? What Jeff is trying to say is this. I'm going to give you two scenarios. Let's say me and Dick, I'll use you, Dick, because we started dialoguing with each other, and I rock with you. Let's say we're in the middle of a dialogue, and I say something that you seems from the way the conversation is going that you don't necessarily agree or you have some issue or question of what I said, and your first response is, "Well, when the last red time you broke a record?" As opposed to we're having a normal conversation and in curiosity it's just, oh, but excuse me, when was the last time you broke a record? I'm curious, I'm trying to learn. There's a context there that takes place that's very different. I wasn't there when you asked the question, so I don't know what the context was. But what Jeff is saying is that, like, I've been in this business for 30 some odd years. I'm considered a veteran. And when I talk to Jeff, I talk to him with respect because in spite of my years of being here, Jeff has sold more, has got more Grammys than I do. You know what I'm saying? So just from that alone, I'm like, okay, from an experience perspective, he has experienced more of something that I have. And I've been a part of quite a few Grammys, but not to the extent that Jeff has. So that means that in that dialogue, I don't want to necessarily do battle. I want to be able to dialogue with him in a way that I can learn from him and I can contribute to maybe to his bottom line. You feel what I'm saying? Like I said, so just keep in mind to ask somebody like a Jimmy Jam, a Terry Lewis, or a Jeff Robinson, or some of these quote unquote veterans, when you say a question like, "Well, when's the last time you broke a record?" It's the context of how it comes off that could be misinterpreted. Now, I'm not saying you meant it that way, but you got to understand, just like in real life, bro. There's certain ways you can say certain things that you leave it intentionally open for them to interpret it however they want, and not then say, "Well, I don't care how he interpreted it because I didn't mean
It's
it that way." But don't do you should, like I'm saying, in future, don't do
it's
that.
not it's
I,
it's
Like
not
I
if
the
you
think
it's
want
it's
all
just
to,
about
as
the tone of
simple
the
as
example.
I think it's as
no, I'm just
simple
saying.
as
Go
like
ahead.
we keep talking about this OG thing. At the end of the day, like we all said, it's basic respect. And it's like if you want your point about Dick, I'm just I'll talk about in general. If you want your points across and someone to give you feedback or the answer that you are hoping for, you kind of have to like put them in that position. Like if you're arguing with your friend or for me, whenever I get upset with a friend or someone I'm working with, if we're in front of people, I'm never going to address it because I
Right.
know even if I want to address it there, they are going to be on the defense and I'm not going to get the reply that I want. Even if I have the
Right.
relationship with them, we could be friends. So if it's a stranger who I don't know who decided to get into this room for free, because not for nothing, I'm not no A-list Grammy award winning, but I charge $250 an hour if you want to get advice from me. I give advice to any of my friends or the youngins for free. LeVar, you could have been getting all types of advice from me and hanging out in my office. You feel me? But it's just we gotta realize like Sometimes there is a time and place. Before social media, yes, there were people who were messy, but honestly, I only see I mostly see younger people putting their friends on blast. Like one day you'll see a group
Wow.
of girls and guys together. The next day you'll see someone's whole information on Instagram and Twitter. I don't know what that is. I don't participate in that.
I
Like
feel like
I've
the
had
industry
clients
needs to
that did
have
me
prep
wrong.
programs
Wait,
to be
plug, let her talk.
Hold
Let
on,
her
let her
talk.
finish,
Plug,
bro.
let her talk.
I have clients,
Continue,
the
Alicia,
people that
please.
have worked with me that I have on contract that owe me money, and it's on contract. They owe me thousands of dollars. I've never spoke on it once. Because sometimes, well, I realize this, but sometimes it's not like who you're in it with. Sometimes it's who's watching. And the people
Mm-hmm.
who are watching your approach and watching you get shunned, but watching how you react to it, they're pulling you in. Like that's how I met
Woo.
Camille. That's how I ended up at Alamo. Everything that I've done with the record label, I never applied for. I've never applied for no jobs. You feel me? In my life. And I just told you I did not go to college at all. I dropped out after 30 days and I was not even going to school for this. So it's like I had to, and maybe it's a little different for me because I did fall in on the brand side first. So I learned how to make an EPK. I learned how to make decks. I learned how to do the business of it. I appreciate and respect that you're giving certain people at labels advice, but LeVar, you have to realize what your gift is and you have to start saying no. You should have been saying no. I would have started a little music consulting agency like, oh yeah, I could rap with you on Friday about some of the artists I'm checking out. Send me a cash app. That's what I'm doing now. Like make it into a business, realize your value so you can market yourself up.
Yes, I agree, Alicia. And I would just like to segue in as well. I agree with everything you said, Alicia. And for somebody, we both work in PR. We have similar backgrounds, Alicia. I've never had a formal internship. I've never had a 9 to 5. Everything I've done has been self-starter mentality. I started my PR agency when I was a freshman in college. And LeVar, I know we've had these conversations about industry OGs. And, when I entered this industry, I was very bright-eyed. There were so many people that I looked up to and reached out to and wanted to work with. And, it just didn't work out the way I necessarily saw it. I just knew that at an early age that these OGs weren't going to give me what I was looking for. And I also recognize, coming into this industry, I had a very old school mentality, thinking in my mind, maybe I would have a mentor, but I never really had a mentor. The best mentors I ever had were Steve-O and Saint of GFC New York. They work with Big Crit and Smoke Dizza, really dope guys, but they're young OGs to me. You know what I mean? Because I think there's just such a disconnect between the old school and the new school. And even the idea of just traditional mentorship, like I look to like a lot of my young peers that are the same age as me to get advice from, to leverage ideas with. So I think that we're just in a different space and place. And I think that this new school, we bring something totally different to the table that I think a lot of these OGs aren't ready for or don't recognize. When I moved to Nigeria, I made my rounds to these different labels. A lot of these OGs looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, you're moving to Africa. Now look at us. Afro beats is like leading the world discussion in music. So us young youth, we really need to stick together, mobilize together. We are the future.
And
We are the
I,
ones who are creating the trends. So
we
we
do
need to,
Word. I
though.
tried to present
We
Fabio to Def Jam when they were trying to interview me to be an SVP of marketing. I created a whole 30-page deck with a consumption plan, out of home, all that shit. They told me that my deck was on point, but they didn't think I understood the tone of music. Three,
yeah,
four
it's like
months later, he got signed to Columbia. So it's like you can't let that be a deterrent. You just got to be on your shit. And just to add to what Sav says, you got to kind of like fuck with who fucks with you. Like whoever you see tries to play with the game with you. Like Sav and I have been following each other for a minute, been on a couple emails. I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't know her like that, but I just fuck with her because she's a black girl, like an entrepreneur. We linked in LA, and I'm just, being honest. I mean, Sav, you're here. She told me, she's like, I didn't know what to think of you. I didn't know if I was really gonna fuck with you. And I was just like, I'm just one of those people. If you fuck with me, I fuck with you, I'll put you on. I'm not gonna have this banner that says I put you on, but if you see that I'm over here smiling back at you, you could come holla at me with whatever you're trying to figure out. If I don't know the information, I'll at least connect you.
But
So
but the thing
Savannah
is,
and Thing,
I just wanted to close it by also saying it's like people like us, LeVar, we are innovators. We're groundbreaking. So a lot of the people that OGs, we're on a path to greatness. We're gonna supersede a lot of the people that we wish answered our questions. You know what I'm saying? Like we're blazing and forging our own paths. So I just think it's important that the youth mobilize together, they bring their resources together and push forward the things that they really want to make happen. And also, I just want to use this time to also say, like, there are young OGs that are killing it right now, like the Barrelines of the world who are young and have these executive roles. Like, we need to be mobilizing with like-minded individuals like her and in those positions, because I think
If they
that old
allow us
school
to.
and who?
If they
No, I'm
allow us
saying
to.
if they allow us to.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to say, Dick. Like Savannah and Alicia, we some of us on the stage, like me, Dick, London, we already doing that. That's not the problem. The point of this chat is to bridge the gap and to come together. Because the truth of the matter is, no matter how much of the young OGs mobilize together, we're still gonna need our founding fathers to give advice. Like Drake got a line. Someone said, "When you get there, just tell me what to do." Like I don't ask for no handouts, no nothing. When I get there, just tell me what I need to know and tell me what I
Facts.
need to do.
Hey
But I
guys,
just realized
All
earlier
right,
on,
look,
I
guys,
really
let Jeff talk. Let Jeff talk. Let Jeff talk, please.
hey guys, I just think that you guys are throwing this term OG around crazy. And
Right.
OG, that's not, I don't think y'all know the meaning of that. Some of you guys, the way you throwing it around.
I don't say
That
OG. That's why I put the quote
Yeah,
unquote on it. I say
that's a
older
term
people.
of reverement. You'll see a bum out in the street and he's older, and you call him an OG. That's not what the term was coined for. You know what I'm saying? So that's just number one. So young OG, I never even what is that? You know?
But
So my thing is like this, man. Listen, I find myself to be very accessible to anybody. You know, those of you who slide in my DMs on Instagram, you know that I answer every question asked of me, as long as it's asked respectfully. I tell a story when I was you guys' age. And when I was at an impact convention, and I wanted to learn the business, and this guy went to this dude manager who was had one of the hottest artists in the business, and he went to him and said, "Hey man, I just graduated college, and I'm a big fan of yours. I was wondering if I could pick your brain for a second, ask you some questions." The guy turned around and went off on him, like, "Yo, don't fucking step to me like that. You don't ask me no fucking questions. You fucking know me like that." And just reamed this guy out so bad, a crowd came around, and the guy was kid was just apologizing and apologizing, and then he just turned his back on him. And I said, if I ever got on, I would never ever do that to anybody. I will always be accessible. And so when I just believe in dialogue. And so I always listen. I grew some of the top younger managers in this business. I groomed her since she was 11 years old. I groomed Alicia since she was 14. I won for 20 something years. I've been on top of this business. So young or old, it makes no difference to me. I seen them all come and I seen them all go. But you know what I'm saying? And I am the one constant in that shit. But I'm saying I do that because I have these dialogues with guys your age and guys younger, and I hear what they got to say, and I reason with them, and we reason together. And I learned a lot of here on Clubhouse. For some of these young tech guys, I just like blow my mind what they're teaching me.
correct.
And I put a lot of them on since then. And I've gotten some of these guys on here jobs in labels during the pandemic because I
Right.
like the way they carry themselves. So we can't classify everything as oh these older people are holding us back, because the fact of the matter is the ones that's cutting the checks are older than the people you're calling old. They're 20 years older. The white guys are 20 years older than the black guys you're calling OGs.
That's a
And when
fact.
you
Facts.
use that
We
shit
Thanks.
agree.
too
We know that.
much, when
And
you
that's
use that shit too much, you are setting yourself up to fail, because in 10 years, there's some 16-year-old right now saying they're ready to call you an OG and you're 35. You know what I'm saying? And age you out the game. So and while you still have something to offer. So we have to be very, very careful. We just all have to have dialogue. Like in that other room, I came in late. I wasn't there when a lot of you people was there, but I told them, listen, man, listen, y'all should just talk and just hash it out, what they feel and what they're feeling and what you're feeling, and just have a dialogue. It's not like this room versus
Respect.
that room. That's just stupid to me. It's all
Yeah,
about fucking dialogue, bro. And
Jeff,
stop
Jeff,
with
and
the whole
Jeff,
OG shit,
Jeff,
please.
Jeff. If I can cut in,
Jeff was definitely one of the guys that came into the other room and said, "Yo, we should talk to them."
Yo, stop
Facts.
giving out green beans. Stop giving out green beans. Like, these people could come in this room without being moderators. Stop giving them green beans. And I don't mean that to say that in no disrespect. I'm just saying that in the sense of I want to be fair to the other people in this room. If you speaking, you don't need to be a moderator in order to be a speaker. Let a person speak. I want to get to know people that are coming up on this stage. That's all I want to say.
Yeah,
Yo,
man,
can I?
guys, I don't mean to take over your room. I'm just saying,
Nah, you
young
good. You good.
people
You
and
good.
old people need to dialogue. Have a dialogue so they can hear your grievances and correct some things that their assumptions they have about you that's wrong, and vice versa. Because at the end
And
of the
that's why we
day,
wanted this room, Jeff,
yeah,
because
yeah.
we
At the
felt
end of
like
the
they
day,
wasn't listening.
nobody owes anybody shit. You know what I'm saying? So we have to, once we establish that, all right, let's have a conversation. You guys should, everybody should just have conversations. I don't know what the issue is with guys don't want to have conversations instead of like throwing up a brick wall. This against them. That doesn't make any sense to me, man. That's not how I stayed on top of this business
Yeah,
for so
it's
many damn
We
years. You know,
definitely
it's
appreciate you.
not.
not how we do it.
Yeah, and
Facts.
you guys like don't. I tell people this all the time. I didn't go into set. I don't have. I could literally have 45 plaques on my walls. I could literally have anything. I went in with it with you need to make relationships and build relationships. So I didn't worry about plaques on the walls. I didn't worry about photographs with people for my Instagram and for my, whatever. I wanted phone numbers. I wanted relationships with, so I used to work for Tyrese. That's how I know Jeff. You know, um, I met Tyrese when he was 18 years old. When people came to studios, I became known by my work ethic to these artists. And that's what
Yes.
a lot of the kids today, and I say this respectfully, y'all don't work as and I say some of y'all because I'm one of the few in this business with the 25 years that I have as a white woman in urban music. I've done two. I did Britney Spears and I've done Justin Timberlake. Other than that, everything's been urban music. But you guys come in with not wanting to work for it as much as some of the older artists, some of
Can
the
you elaborate?
projects.
That's
You
I
true
hear
though.
definitely
me?
agree. I definitely agree.
And
That's
Can you
I,
true.
and I
elaborate?
just I want y'all to understand work ethic is everything. Everything. And that's why I still have those relationships. T Boz is my best friend. If I need Usher for something, I pick up and phone call, make a phone call. If I, anybody that I've ever worked with, Outcast, Pink, all of them, I built those relationships. And Jeff's one of the old guys like me. I say old guys, but we've been around a long time. And I have so much respect for
Hey, hey,
him.
hey, hey, old guy. Hey.
I'm 51 tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be
Happy
51.
birthday.
And
Happy birthday,
thank
Lily.
Happy
Happy
you.
birthday.
birthday.
And I am proud of that. I get in these rooms with people and I pinch myself sometimes because I have that longevity. I'm not where I started. I met Dallas Austin through my sister who was working for somebody else, and then that led me to Kevin Wells and working with everybody that Kevin put on, Monica, and being in the studio with Dallas and doing projects with Lenny Kravitz and Madonna, and I did a project for Michael Jackson. Like I coordinated a session for Michael Jackson when he was in California and I was in Atlanta for a fundraising, song, a song that he did. It's the those kinds of things that it was because of my work ethic that I was able to create those situations and be in those situations. If you're around, you want to meet somebody, go to events, try and get on a list, go to events, stand outside. Don't shove a CD or something in their face, but say, introduce yourself, what you do. I would love to get in contact with you. Do you have an assistant? Because if you go through other people to get to them and that you have that assistant, you can build that relationship with that assistant. Okay? That assistant is going to then get you to that person. So there's a lot of ways that you guys can get in.
Liz, I think
And
you
there's
said
a
it
lot.
best at first. It's
Definitely.
work ethic. Like, not to say like fucking assistant, but I met the labels through the artists. I met the managers of
Right.
these labels through the artists. I met the producers myself. Like when I met Buddha, matter of fact, I met Buddha through like a strip club owner in at ATL. Buddha bless this be. But it's my work ethic that got me from, like I said, working. I was supposed to work as an intern, working for free for 6 months. The CEO hired me 10 days in to an internship. I was working like crazy. I didn't know about the job. My first task was developing a agreement for Amber Rose and a rider, and I didn't even know what the fuck a rider was.
Right.
But I know I wasn't about to take that check out my
Right.
hand. So it just always made me the type of person to research and know and grow and build case studies and build reports of what I did. So if someone questioned my work, I was already ready before they were.
Absolutely. And
And
that's,
that's like the biggest thing. Like, and I'm not getting at anyone. I don't know what, how what routes you guys have tried, but like I said, I always kind of knew I was different and a black sheep. So it was always about how do I force other people to deal with me. Like, I don't have to deal with you. How do I force you to
The
need me?
So I just
The
want to say
absolutely.
something. I just want to say
so like
something, right?
okay.
So basically, my fault, Dimitri. I'm gonna just say this real quick because I wanna like I feel like we've all been like talking a lot about like personal stories, and it's kind of like dragging away from like the overall point in the conversation. And I also have a lot of people they've been reaching out to me on Instagram that want to come up on the stage and speak as well. So at this time, I wanted to open the floor. I don't want any of the moderators to choose. Please don't just add anyone up here because I'm gonna go through them. Me and Lunchbox and Wolf or Plug, we gonna go through the list and add them up here because I feel like we do have a lot of like older people right now on stage, and we have a lot of people that's kind of established already in the industry, and I feel like it would be pretty dope to get a lot of people who are working their way up and would like to join the conversation as well because I feel like they should have the opportunity, to add on to the convo. So I'm gonna just go ahead